Okay, almost done. So obviously the health and safety of villagers and trail users, I think, like this, we're representing the village, but I think we also want to be good hosts as a village, and so people's experience of the village within the context of those entry points is important. Um, Alignment to the comprehensive plan. So generally, the kind of the ways in which the planning board is intended to fill in the gaps that are like in interpretation of reading zoning law or representing the village in planning matters is supposed to be guided by the comprehensive plan. So if there's ever questions about what's a reasonable path forward, the safest answer is an answer that's aligned to comprehensive plan, because that's actually defensible for all of our work. That's actually defensible in court, because you can actually say, like, okay, look, it was ambiguous about what path was the right path. So the planning board picked the one that was aligned to the comprehensive plan, which is like the legal foundation for the actual zoning law. Like the zoning law emerges from the comprehensive plan, and so like basically you're creating a coherent coherent narrative between the comprehensive plan, the zoning law, and the implementation of planning with respect to that zoning law. All right, and the last one is knock-on effects from usage. Something that I have been just thinking about, that like in my experience, like if we think about Cold Spring as an economic center that is pulled in directions by commerce of various kinds, right? So in a world where there were no tourists, Main Street would not be filled with any businesses that catered to tourists, right? In a world where Cold Spring had been gutted of its local residents and was a tourist town exclusively, where there's just hotels and Airbnbs, and there would be nothing for local residents because there would be no population to cater to. So we have these two extremes, and we have a balancing act a balance that the village has currently established. We have some volume of visitors coming in on the train. They represent some economic potential within the village, and we have a mass of local residents who also represent some massive economic potential here. And we have the Main Street that we do that's trying to navigate what's an efficient set of services and goods and things like that to cater to that distribution of economic potential. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that shifting in that balance, you can, I think, reasonably say, if you shift that balance in one direction or the other on that spectrum, you can expect to have a similar impact, directional impact on the services and goods and things that are available to village residents or to tourists that come in. So I think those are things that are going to be on my mind as we're reading through the plan and mitigating factors and representing the concerns of villagers. Okay, so that's my broad framing. Any reactions or thoughts?
Well, I mean, I can talk for a few minutes.
Yes.
About because I've been in a lot of meetings with fewer people. So I think it's sort of pointless to spend our time north of Little Stony Point. It's one outside the village.
Yeah.
In their mind, if they got infinite pushback from Phillipstown and Cold Spring and the train people, they would just start the Fjord Trail at Little Stony Point, and they would just cut out everything south of that as part of their trail system. I think, the view shed, is a real concern for the planning board.
Yeah.
The bit that's going to go over the water.
Yeah.
Is going to be like 4 feet above high tide. And then that's the deck is going to be 4 feet above high tide. And then on the train side, they're going to have an 8-foot high fence. And a fence of some height on the water side, probably lower. I guess they're not worried about you, jumping in the water. They're worried about you getting in front of the train. So you're gonna have this thing that's like 10, 12 feet wide, probably concrete, panels, with an 8-foot high fence on one side and probably a 4 or 6-foot high fence on the water side. What that consists of,
That sounds horrible.
well, yeah, except they show photos,
West Side Highway.
they show photos of it not looking too
You've
bad.
done very well.
I don't know if they show perspective views and they say, well, it's not, you got a sewage plant there and it's not gonna look any worse than it's not gonna obstruct any more than the sewage plant. So.
Sewage plant's not in the river.
Yeah, and then there's there's a real issue, I think, of access for emergency vehicles, access, after hours. I looked through all of section 4, and so there was talk in there about gates
Mhm.
and, their personnel closing it would only be dawn to dusk, kind of thing.
And this is only for a small slither. of
This is
section.
from basically Cold Spring, this is from Dockside to Little Stony Point.
It's a half mile.
But
Yeah.
but the proposed, but where you're proposing those fences and stuff, it's not for that whole range.
Yeah, it is, there,
Yes.
because you gotta be 25 feet away from the train track. And, the only way to do that is by being over.
Once you get out of Dockside Park, you're saying right there.
Yeah, from Dockside, all the way from Dockside, to Little Stony Point, is going to be over water.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think there's any place along there that's got 25-foot access on the west side of the tracks. That's not over water. So I think the view shed is a big issue.
Yeah.
I will also say that there,
Maybe for folks' reference, so one of the things we added in the last zoning revision was the scenic view shed overlay district. If you look in chapter 134, you'll see there's a chapter devoted to that. If you want to read a little bit more about what the intent of that district is, and I need to ask Jonathan if there's anything aside from it being clearly within the purview of the planning board, because it's mentioned explicitly in the zoning board, I think it would be anyway, but it's like our zoning law specifically calls out the scenic view shed overlay as in a way that is like meant to be considered for any development that impacts villagers' view of a number of landmarks that are called out explicitly.
And you said that's chapter what? One?
Well, it's in 134, but it's I don't remember which section it is.
come on.
Sorry,
Okay, yeah.
sorry.
We can look up view or shed.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. They had 2 consulting companies. One was modeling pedestrians coming off the train and off of the C Street.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
the ship that comes off.
Yeah.
Which will dumps like 400 people,
Mhm.
at the dock. So they modeled little dots moving around. I don't know if you've ever seen it on their website. They got little dots moving all around. Then they had another group, AKRF, that modeled car traffic. So now this is interesting because to them, they created basically this bubble from Beacon down to Cold Spring of cars entering. Once they enter this bubble, then they go to parking lots at Washburn and at the Manor House. But what they specifically did not do was concern themselves with cars coming down Main Street to park on Main Street, to park in the train station, to go to the Dockside Park. They viewed that percentage as de minimis and wasn't part of their concern. To me, I think one thing that they have missed is the whole concept of the Dockside Park being a destination in itself. They view the dockside as a starting point for the 7.5 mile trail system. But I can really see, somebody with a little kid, maybe like 9 months old or getting close to be a year old, comes down, you come down with the stroller and you run around at the dock and you go off on this little trail to Little Stony Point and you turn around and come back. And so you're in Westchester, you throw the stroller in the car and that's your day. And you eat lunch or something, but you're not a participant in the bigger trail system. And I think they totally dismiss that as an issue. So there's no modeling of parking in the train station. There is no modeling of traffic on Main Street. It's in their mind, everybody is coming through 9D Main Street train intersection, just going north. And when you look in section 4, they talk about redoing that intersection. They want to restripe it. And
Main Street,
the traffic light.
but east to west,
Main-
right?
mainly north, south.
A left turn only lane, and then the right lane would be straight through or right turn if you're coming north.
On the
That's
north,
what they-
north-south.
That's one of their
Yeah.
remedies.
But
Right.
then isn't the east-west, they were talking about doing away with parking spaces?
Yeah, because, well, yes, the multiple parking spaces so that there can be turning. And yeah, so they really want three lanes on the north-south side. And I think the village has the right of refusal on that. That was my impression. The DOT could not force that.
Yeah, I think there are positioning, like the fact that we don't have, say, over Dockside is because we don't, it's actually not owned.
Right,
It's not,
owned
it's
by the
not,
state park.
yeah, and,
Right.
and they're state parks that kind of supersedes village authority.
Right.
But like Fair Street, for example, and the Main Street intersection, I think both would naturally fall here as something
Yeah.
that we would have more control
The
over.
I
restriping,
think it's the three, I think you have to be in agreement. I think Putnam County also might have a say.
Probably.
As well.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it's a big road, so I think it's.
yeah,
I think
so
they say
DOT can't just
Public
come
County,
in and-
public, Putnam County and Cold Spring, but I would think if it's on 9D, that would definitely be a Putnam County thing. I don't know if the Fair Street, that might only be the village, but I know that 9D, since it's a major road, that's
Yeah.
gonna be a Putnam County and probably DOT as well.
So, that's, pretty much, stuff that wasn't addressed, the EIS does talk about, impact on, the ambulance system. They claim that they had talked to the ambulance corps and that they were okay with this. So one other thing that's not us, is that the Fjord people claim that they have been talking to the train people. And the train people are cool with this shoreline thing going up. But our mayor and von Tassel and a couple other people had a meeting with the train people. And the train people told them, no way are we giving up waterside access to our tracks. And I think the train people are gonna blow it up. That's my personal opinion.
So I don't doubt that you're correct, but I wanna make sure that we need to deal with the proposal as written.
I totally,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but I just wanna let you know
Yeah,
that is out there.
yeah,
That, we're not the only ones that are interested in that.
The existing level of the rails have to come up 4 feet.
Yeah, well, and they got
Anyway,
tunnel problems and,
Anyway, there's all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff has to happen.
yeah, I just can't see them infinitum giving up waterside access to their tracks. There's nothing in it for them. It's not like they're going to, they're not getting anything for what they would be giving up.
Right.
So I personally think they're gonna blow it up. But, and then, they have, a time of year building, restriction on, building their, shoreline access. There is,
There's 4 or 5
there's a
feet.
fish,
Yeah,
that
it's like March to
spawns-
June.
yeah. So, and I think they figured it's gonna take them 4 to 5 seasons to build this thing, 4 or 5 years.
Right, which is what I understand, this is coming from Phoenix Salad, this is why they want to bolt these 2 pieces together, so in other words, piece from Breakneck down to Little Stony Point and Little Stony Point into Cold Spring,
Correct.
do those at the same time, because they don't want to sequence them, whereas the other proposal is build down to Little Stony Point, pause, see if the parking measures north of Little Stony Point work, and then go from there. So, we'll see how bound together sequence 4 phase 4 is, and see if we can deconstruct that at all. I 100% agree with you that my biggest concern is that this becomes just basically like a Coney Island boardwalk.
Right.
And that people are gonna wanna drive their cars right past your house, Kevin, and
Your house.
millions of them.
Your house more than mine.
But no, they're gonna come down Main Street. No, seriously, they're gonna come down Main Street.
Yeah.
We know, it's just, it's a 1-lane, two-way street, dead ends of the water. They're gonna get there, be very disappointed that there's no parking, and every weekend, we're just gonna end up in a nightmare. People are gonna come from, dozens or hundreds of miles away to come and get that Instagram photo and jump back in the car and drive away, so.
No, I don't have anything to say about that. Yeah. I have to get out of my driveway as it is, and it's gonna be a lot tougher. I already backed into somebody the other day.
Oh,
With
no.
Harry in the car, not bad. It was just like a little bump, because they were going in, they stopped, and then they stopped to park, and I was already pulling out.
Oh,
And I just was
no.
like, no big deal. But
That's almost
my kids won't, in 4 years, when this is running, my kids won't be as careful as I am when they're pulling out of the driveway.
Someone parked 100% across my driveway, and I couldn't get out.
Oh, I think I saw where you had decided to be more defensive, where you'd like place some blockades.
Yeah, sometimes I'm starting to put things just so I can get out. I
Wow.
mean, as it is, when I come out, it's just too boring, but I can't turn right, I can't turn left, there's so little space.
Oh, wow.
And because if you imagine, like, I've got to say, the safest way would be to turn, so I don't have to cross
Yeah,
traffic.
yeah.
Is to turn right to go to a beacon, so I can make that turn, but the only way to turn around is actually to swing into oncoming traffic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, the crosswalks are also crazy by you. Like I've
Right.
taken Lavinia from daycare over to the Tots Park. And like, nobody cares.
No, it's not.
It's like, I have a stroller and a
Everybody's
baby,
got it.
like, come on, like,
Crossing.
standing at an entry to a crosswalk, and you, like, just like, it
No, they
doesn't.
don't slow down.
Yeah.
Once
No.
they get past that light,
Yeah.
It's like full speed ahead.
It's like 50 miles an hour
Yeah,
in a 30 zone.
Yeah.
25 zone.
It's always coming north, it seems, like it's rare that it's like the south, cause they're in tune that they gotta slow down for the light anyway, so it's like, all right, but once they get past that light, they are flying,
My street's a drag strip.
yeah. Great.
Tactically, just gonna wanna make sure that we get things assigned for next time.
Mhm.
So I think I have a partitioning that is contiguous and gives everyone about 40 pages. Does that seem
Right.
okay?
Mhm.
So,
I don't want traffic. I went past to, what was it,
all right, so,
pages 300 and something. I don't, and maybe, I'm just saying this, maybe somebody can explain, Henry, the diagrams. I have no clue what they're
Yeah.
showing. That's
So-
all, thank you.
okay, I'll describe the sections that I'm talking about. People
Sure.
can follow along in the index. And then someone can just lay claim to one, and Larry, don't lay claim to any that you don't want.
Have you given us names? Or you just?
No, I'm gonna describe the block, and then,
Oh.
and then if anyone says like, oh yeah, that sounds really interesting or
Oh,
fun,
okay.
they can grab it. Well, how about this? So first I'll just go through, describe the sections, and then we'll come back and people, so folks can hear all of them before we move on. I'll also say that like, this is just, think of this as just the assignment that is the group obligation,
Okay,
like to make sure that we have coverage for
Mhm.
for next time. If you get bored over the holiday and you just want to go ham on the whole thing, don't let the assignment stop you. Like, feel free to contribute as much as you want on whatever sections you want, but this is just to ensure that we make sure we have full coverage over the document. Okay, so, I propose first section is chapter 4A through D. So that is, land use and zoning, land ownership, management and maintenance, sorry, this is all Ford Trail South. In water resources. And then, the next section is 41 pages by itself, is biologic resources. I was gonna propose that be a standalone, so it's so meaty.
So would you say it again, please? What is it?
That's chapter 4, dot E. And that's biologic resources. And then, the next section will be a 4F to 4I. And that is historic and archaeological resources, scenic resources, noise and air quality, and recreational and open space resources, accessibility. Next section is 4J through 4P. 4J is growth and community character. K is socioeconomics, traffic and transportation, infrastructure, emergency services, Great Neck Ridge visitor management plan, hazardous material assessment. Yeah, that's what's in there.
I'll claim that one unless somebody else has got I mean, it's got the traffic thing in it.
Okay.
I'm happy to grab F through I, and the reason is I've done 5+ years on the rec commission also. I've got some specialization in sound, pollution.
Great.
Measurement. I can actually, I've got that equipment in my house. So,
And the last section is chapters 5 through 11.
sorry,
Most of it are very small.
what was that, sorry?
Chapter 5 to 11. So that is alternatives, cumulative impacts, unavoidable adverse impacts, irreversible and irretrievable commitment of resources, supplemental environmental review, coastal zone management program consistency, climate leadership, and community protection act. That's going to be kind of a mishmash. I'm happy to take whatever folks don't want, so, we have, the first, so there's the standalone chapter, which is the biologic impact.
Mhm.
Is that calling to anyone in
Is
particular?
somebody ready to take that?
No, not yet.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Or,
No, that's fine. So then, I mean, which one do you prefer? I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Maybe I just do A and D if you think the other one is
Sure.
kind of disjointed. It might
Yeah,
be
yeah,
the A to D
that
might be a little
that-
bit more cohesive.
Yeah.
If you're okay with
Yeah,
that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I mostly just want to, this is a big thing for us to do over the holidays. Just want to make it easy for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of pieces in that, like I said, I mean, just your 10-minute, explanation of
Yeah.
a few things there really helped out. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like, if everyone came up to speed on that, and
Yeah.
everyone gave sort of like a 10-minute presentation like that,
Yeah.
that would really help us get
Okay.
a long
Yeah.
way, I think, you
Yeah.
know?
Is Jonathan on this call?
Jonathan's not on this
No,
call.
me?
He's not, but, if you have any questions, we can send them to him.
No, I'm just wondering, are we allowed to talk?
Okay, so in terms of engagement on this, so we are not allowed to discuss outside of being in session. But
But,
we absolutely can give each other information asynchronously. We just can't respond to that information. So if as you're going, you've got comments and questions that you would just like to dump into an email thread, there's no problem with that. But just don't respond to anyone else's comments or questions, right? So like information sharing is fine. We can't as a group discuss a matter that's in front of the planning board without being in session because of public meeting law. So so I think that like I expect that as I'm creating, I'll probably create some summary document and then some comments and then some questions. I'll probably shoot that out to the group as soon as I produce it so that folks can at least be internally processing it. The idea is that I think that we want the in-person meetings, the in-session meetings to be as efficient as possible to figure out, okay, well, what does this mean? What are the inconsistencies? What are the, like, how do we, I don't understand, Henry, this point that you were making. Can you please explain it to me? And that way, we can make the best use of the next time as possible. And speaking of next time, I think we should go ahead and schedule another out of our normal time session. I was thinking if possible, that first week of January. I can be flexible at any time, between the 2nd and 5th. I could also make time the following week. I'm starting a new job.
what?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
The onion company, we sold
I sold it.
it. Oh, congratulations.
Nice.
Right.
So I will be starting a new job then. It'll be a little bit busy the second week, but the first
Okay, I was
week, I
gonna
think.
say, it seemed like everyone was okay to do a Friday at 3:30. Is that good? Is that okay for the 3rd at 3:30 or is that not, okay?
that,
I
I can make that
Not for
work.
me.
That's not good. Okay, I've just thrown that out there since
Yeah.
everyone was here. If we
Yeah.
were trying to come up with
I
a
can do the
date.
second.
I can do the 2nd as
Yeah,
well.
I got grandkids.
So you can't?
Yeah, no.
You can always bring them.
Well, I'm not even in, I'll be in
Okay.
the city.
Okay.
Well, so if
But the
you can
weekends?
have, you can also call in, as long as we have,
A new job is.
as long, well, no, I can make room for this. This is important. What I was gonna say is just remember that we only need quorum in person
Mhm,
to have the meeting. Folks can call in as long as we have quorum in person. So
mhm.
Henry, if you feel like you,
Yeah, I would not count on them.
okay, all right,
And that is through Sunday, the 5th? When is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
tough for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
And we could, if you're starting a new job, I mean, I don't mind doing it at one of those evenings too. If we, I mean, we have is the 9th our first meeting? Do we want to do it like?
we
an
have
hour?
a public, public
I know, do
hearing.
you wanna do it an hour
to
before
public.
that meeting? You know, since we're all gonna be here that Thursday
That's
night.
gonna be,
That's a
that's
little
gonna
tight
be
for
a,
me.
it's gonna be a long,
Okay, all right.
it's gonna be a long meeting
Okay,
too.
all right.
I mean, I can
I'm
make
just
it
trying
at
to
six
figure out what
thirty.
everyone
I
can
could
do.
do 6:30.
What about-
Then that won't be enough time.
What about Sunday evening on the fifth? Or is that gonna be too much for you, Henry? You,
Yeah, I'm still in the city.
okay. How,
I might be able to call in, but might.
okay.
I'm very
I think-
flexible.
I think I really, what about Monday or Tuesday afternoon or evening
Afternoon would be really good.
on Monday?
But then she's
Yeah,
already
any
first-
day that week.
first day.
It's actually, my first day is the seventh, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do the sixth then. Are you guys okay with the sixth?
Yeah,
Hang on.
Okay.
Monday?
No, because I'll be at the office. No, I'll be in the
What
city.
about an evening?
What time?
Evening, I get off the train 6:15, so 6:30.
Seven be okay for folks?
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Monday night.
On the
you wanna
6th?
do Monday the sixth?
Monday
I'm wide open,
Seven.
so you guys tell me what works for you.
Now, I guess the question is, isn't there something that happens here on Monday nights?
No.
Every Monday?
Sure, good question. I can check, but the court clerk is not here at this moment.
Okay. All right, well, I think we don't have to necessarily be in this room, right? We can be in one of the side rooms.
Mhm.
All right, so let's plan let's say 7 to 9, to give ourselves a little bit of breathing room next time on Monday, January 6th.
Mhm,
Sound good?
yeah.
mhm. So I can shoot a question about traffic and these traffic diagrams, so someone can explain that to me, correct or no?
We can't have someone respond to you. You could put a.
Yeah, so you can ask. Oh, so
Like
you can
if-
ask Jonathan for a legal interpretation.
Okay,
You can ask a procedural question. Those are fine. I think
like if I opened it up right now,
if you're like, I don't know what this,
I have no,
what this thing means, this diagram means.
Are you asking, do
it's
you not understand what they want to do at that intersection?
not necessarily, I'm not showing what, I don't understand what they are showing. Hang on a second, let me see if I can find it in here. Do we still have time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a perfect. Oh, this is better. So. What are we, I guess maybe.
So this
Of
is
course,
fair.
right, so what are the numbers? What are they telling me? And then there's supposed to be this. And I'm trying to match up the numbers to go along with the diagrams. So
So these are counts. I don't
they're
know.
telling me that they're,
And I think this is like peak hour, this is probably for a whole day. I don't know what the little numbers are.
it
but
threw me.
So this would be like
Oh, those are
1,200
buses.
Oh, okay, so this would be 1,200 cars going that direction. So this is Fair and 9D, so this is.
Right,
This is
okay.
where that's where it angles in.
That I get.
Okay,
I'm just trying to figure out
so
what,
this is probably within a day,
okay,
1,200 cars.
or within a certain time frame.
Yeah,
Because I think that's what this is. I guess maybe this is very nice to be in color. I wasn't getting this color necessarily on my, wait a minute, there was another one. They had little, you guys okay if I can just ask a question or two or no?
And Kevin, you have a hard stop, right?
Yeah, no, I can hang another 5 minutes. Okay. I just texted my wife, we're good.
In one of these diagrams, they have a different little colored block and it says like 6 or 5 or 3, and I have no idea, you know what? I'll ask something of Jonathan, I guess, because that's around page 353.
And well done, and it's over the water, but it doesn't have a 12-foot fence. but no one- No one is looking at the water. It's on the edge.
Communication prior to the open session.
Within 25 feet of the.
So if it was just,
the
Hillary
water
and Henry,
from
they
the train line,
Can talk about it.
you're not sitting there looking at the
If it
view
were
anyway.
three, then that would be different.
That's
you know?
my take on it. That's.
The reason why I say that, because what it is that they're doing with SDRs, only two of them are allowed.
That
to
section
meet
where it
with
is, right?
the cap-
You know, maybe
for
you're in Mayor's Park, but
primary
you're in Mayor's
and,
Park.
building.
Yeah.
For example,
You,
if the mayor were there.
they're gonna
that
have
would
to
make
have
quorum,
that
and then
fence
that would
there,
be-
you know.
So that's
There's a
that's
crosswalk
definitely
outside
true.
the train side, you know,
Um,
might be one spot you're gonna
I
see
think
guys going up Fair Street.
the without Jonathan here to advise, I think my understanding is that at least for email threads, which would presumably all be on, that kind of constitutes a just like, because everybody's on it.
No.
You know what I mean?
But
Can't even
if it
get
was just, but if, yeah,
You're not because you're.
Hillary, why don't you
Right?
ask that question
Okay.
to
Jonathan?
Jonathan and CC everybody?
Okay,
So we have, like, if you wanted to ask specifically, one other member about
oh, okay,
clarify or something.
before okay, gotcha.
I think that, like, to Abigail's point, that would probably make it more likely to be acceptable.
Okay,
And like, look, like, we're trying to respect the spirit of the meeting law, which is that,
yeah, of course.
like, we're not like off discussing how we really feel about something and then
Mm-mm.
coming in
No, no.
and saying something else. So,
How to read this thing.
yeah. Okay, so, does everyone feel good about?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, about where we're headed and the assignments and,
And what are you looking for us to provide?
okay, so, I'll also send this, to remind folks as well. So, I suggest that you have notes for yourself to summarize just the section you read to the group and things of note. Then you have questions that you think are potentially relevant for sending on to field trail folks, and then notes that might end up being like formal comment from the board. So like it'd be the kind of the preliminary drafts of something. I think that we want to do a synthesis step before we like actually figure out what our like board comments
Right.
are.
And right now, our deadline is February 4th,
February second.
2nd.
Second? No, what did I say?
Well, isn't it,
You're right, fourth.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, you want to do summaries for group and proposed questions, right? Or,
Proposed questions and like, you think of it as like the maybe draft comments that come to mind for you after reading them. The only reason I want to keep it pretty drafty is because I think that it's important for us to kind of come back together and integrate our respective perspectives
mhm.
before we produce an actual like draft of board comment that we want to like start to try to get to consensus or not on across the board.
right, that's great, yeah, I think just even like the summary. would be-
And I think the 2 hours will give us
Highlight.
ample chance to like talk
Sure.
about it. So like, you know, figure you'll have, let's say, 20 minutes to talk about your section and your stuff.
Like that.
And that should be able to give us enough time to both go over everyone's sections and,
We send sections ahead of time.
yeah, so like I said, any information you want to share is great and can be done asynchronously. Please do it as soon as you feel comfortable. People can read in advance. Just remember, we're not discussing explicitly, and be like, you know, yeah, Ben, you're right. Those jerks, they're doing X, Y, and Z. And you're, you know, just keep it as information sharing only.
Well, it might make sense to send the summary and hold your proposed questions and draft
Well,
comments,
you
because
can-
that might be
You
more
can still,
back and
you
forth.
can still send, I think it's fine to send it all,
Okay.
as long as we're not engaging in discussion.
Okay.
Okay,
There's nothing stopping me talking from Henry, we're both village residents, doing over this, I mean, we shouldn't have any more limit.
Oh.
We talked to Henry about his time on the data committee and seeing what he
It-
understands, if I wanna know more about the project, I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know.
it is trickier than that because this is where the gray area of, um. I think technically, like, if it's a matter before the board, you should refrain from discussing it. Even one-on-one privately,
Okay.
I think. Now Hillary's gonna send Jonathan an email after
Right,
this
okay, we'll find out.
to kind of double check this, but the last time I chatted with Jonathan, he was very discouraging of like basically like things that give the appearance that board matters are being discussed and worked through in a private place. Now, legally, if there's three of us to get together and anything about the board comes up, that's a problem because that is quorum and we're not we're not actually, we're technically having a meeting of the village board, even though we haven't said so. And that's a problem. But I think even one-on-one is a little dicey. So, but I think Hillary will get.
So any questions I have for Henry
So-
should mostly be here,
Okay, so
from what you have.
Yeah, I think
These
out
are-
of abundance
I
of
think
caution.
per hour counts.
Yeah.
Max, yeah,
For sure.
okay, Saturday midday peak hour,
Right,
noon to 1 PM.
right.
So these are counts
Right,
from this direction going left, straight, and right.
so what is the green box? What are the green boxes?
I would assume that they are things that get referenced in the text to say intersection 4, intersection 6. I would assume,
Okay,
since that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Thank
6,
you.
that would be my
I
guess.
need to do it. I have to go get my daughter from daycare. Sorry. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. I'll second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Thank you.
thank you,
Perfect.
thank you, Henry.
Oh, you're quite welcome.